What's going on, Care Factor Nation? It's Rich Malachy back for another episode, Season 2, Episode 5. And today I have a very, very special guest here with me, Dan Deibler from K&D. Dan, introduce yourself to the Care Factor Nation.
Hi guys, I'm Dan Deibler. I'm president of K&D Factory Service, similar company to Malachy. We operate in most of Pennsylvania. I'm also a CFESA board member and the treasurer of the National Service Co-op.
Nice. So, also, give a little bit more of a background, too. How long have you been in the industry?
So I grew up in the industry. I'm a third generation owner of my company. My great uncle started it in 1945. After college, I did go and I was in finance on Wall Street for about 10 years. Worked for a bunch of different firms there doing endowments, foundations, institutional work there. When my mom and uncle decided they wanted to retire and were looking for a succession plan, approached me about coming back into the company. Went over a few details and looked like a great opportunity for me to switch gears. And so I've been officially back with K&D now for about 11 years, I believe. Pretty much actively running it for the past 10, and officially took over as president when my mom retired in June of 2018.
Awesome. Back at it. So, I want to talk about this real quick. The industry itself, from the time you were really back, like you said, 10 years. I've been in about the same amount of time. How do you see the industry has changed since you first started?
When I first started, everything was business as usual. Like, I think Bruce Hodge even created these pins years ago that said we always did it that way, and they had a circle with the line through it, like the old Ghostbusters.
Yes, I remember that pin.
And when I first came in, having my financial background, I started looking at different segments of the business, especially warranty business. And I'm sitting there looking at every loss we take doing warranty, and why are we doing this? I'm sitting there with my general manager at the time. It's like, why are we doing this? And he starts spouting off the old ways. Well, we have a parts distribution territory. We get free training. We get our foot in the door of customers. And when I was reviewing the industry from an outsider standpoint, looking at it, I almost had a consultant's view of it. And I'm like, well, we don't have a parts distribution territory anymore. That's not protected. If we have free training, it's very rare that it happens.
Yes.
And most of the time there is some sort of payment for that. And it's no longer getting our foot in the door of our customers. At least in my territory, most of my customers know if they're buying manufacturer A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, they're going to get me. So it's really essentially the only value opportunity I was looking at is we're doing it to keep our competitors out of the door versus getting ourselves in the door.
100%.
And through there, that's when I started my, I don't want to say mission, but to really try to help the industry change from, we used to do warranty as a loss leader to move forward to get customers, to have warranty become at least somewhat marginal.
A profit center in
Yes.
some respects, yeah.
Yeah, I don't need to make my full profit off of it, but it needs to generate a profit. I had a manufacturer come to me and was like, well, why don't you like extended warranties? I was like, because we do it as a loss leader. Now you're keeping me in there for 2, 3, 4, 5 years as a loss.
Yeah.
He's like, but they're forced to use you. It's like, oh, thank you. Thank you for forcing me to take a loss for a longer amount of time.
Exactly.
And manufacturers don't realize that the real discount to doing warranty work is the volume that they give you. But if you're doing it at a loss, more volume means greater loss. So if you get a little bit of a margin, more volume means greater margin. But you can't overcome a loss with volume.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an uphill battle, I think, with all the things you just mentioned as far as territories being gone now. The trainings are definitely more expensive, spread out. And our technicians' labor rates are going up and up. So there's such a high factor in that. I would say, from your perspective, what would you like to see from manufacturers moving forward in the change?
I think the big thing is they need to become full partners. We used to say we're partners. If we're business partners, we should be business partners. We shouldn't be taken care of. It just seems everything was getting pushed off and off and off. And the old mindset was, oh, I want my company to have as many factories as I can because that shows how great of a company I am.
Right.
I think the change is now us servicers are looking at manufacturers and at who's a really true partner and who's not. And if they're not a true partner, we're walking away. And they're starting to realize don't want to say they need us more than we need them, but they're starting
Well-
to realize that we're not that replaceable. So when we walk
Yes.
away, it becomes a huge burden. So what I'm trying to get the manufacturers to realize is let's build programs together so we can, you're not that manufacturer I call up next month saying, hey, it's just not working out. I'm going to pool my 60 techs and we're going to move it on to a different business venue.
Yeah, and with that, the manufacturers not understanding maybe, you know, we lost our parts business. You know, I know for us as a small business, we had a big parts business here for a small company, and that's kind of gone. So there's no incentive on the parts end. You can get parts so many places.
Sorry.
Hey, listen, business is happening. You can get parts everywhere. You know, the customer knows that now too, and I feel like, you know, like I said, it's got to be a true partnership. They have to understand. You know, like you said, do we need them more than they need us? I think it's coming to a point where service companies really are going to be able to, you know, make their own ticket, because it's going to get harder and harder. I talk about it, you talk about it, the gap in the skilled trades in our industry, it's going away. Finding guys that could do it with companies that have expertise and knowledge and back up their work with warranties and have insurances, all those one-man bands are going away. Those guys are retiring. Our top-tier senior techs are retiring.
Mm-hmm. And then even on the parts side, because of the availability of parts, now you have plumbers and electricians and other fields trying to throw their hand in it, and they don't really know what they're doing.
All the time.
And another point I like to make to the factories I work with is, if you have a tech support line, you should not be taking calls from a non-ASA
Yes.
servicer.
Making our guys wait
If
40 minutes sometimes.
If you get a call from that, you should let me talk to the customer. This guy does not know what he's doing. You should please call our authorized service agent in the area, or FASC, or whatever each different manufacturer calls us. But the person that's authorized to work on the equipment. The other thing parts does is, I've long given up the battle of trying to get the parts distribution back.
Yeah.
But what we didn't realize, I think, when we were fighting that battle, is it wasn't the actual revenue we were making on the parts that was really hurting. It was the turns that we got on those parts. So in the 80s and 90s, I might have had a part on my shelf that I didn't use on a service call for 2 years. But I sold it 12, 13 times to every trunk slammer in my territory.
Exactly.
So when I didn't need it for that emergency call on a Friday night, it was on my shelf because I had the turns. What's really affecting the industry with parts now is we don't have the turns to support our inventory anymore. So that's why the first-time fix rates are going down, and we don't have the cash flow. It's not a profit and loss scenario anymore. It's a cash flow scenario.
Yeah, to keep it on the shelf.
I mean, I get a call from a manufacturer. They put a toaster in this one chain restaurant. Their mandatory stocking list was $8,000 my cost. Now I have to do that across 8 branches. That is $50,000.
Yeah. Sitting there.
Sitting there.
Collecting dust.
And I can't put turns on it. And even if I did put turns on it, what people weren't looking at, okay, so I'm doing a $50 part I get a 10% handling charge from the manufacturer. So I made $5. No, I didn't. I lost $45. I invested $50 in the part. I sold it for $55, but because it's on the mandatory stocking list, I have to buy it back for $50. So I'm still in a whole $45.
Yeah.
Now, for traditional inventory, if you're turning it 4 to 6 times, it should be stocked. While the equipment's in warranty on these parts we're required to carry, it takes us 11 turns till we even get back to even. On top of that, we're holding parts that aren't even turning.
Yeah.
We don't make enough margin on the parts that we are turning to hold the parts that we aren't for those emergency situations.
Yeah.
This is a big flaw in the industry right now of the manufacturers telling us, well, why is your first time fix down? You need to stock all these parts. Well, Mr. $6 billion manufacturer, I'm a $10 million company.
Right.
If we're a true partner, shouldn't the $6 billion company be financing my $10 million company, not vice versa?
Yeah.
Because if I buy the parts from
Absolutely.
you, you're putting it down on your revenue line. So now you sold all this equipment to the customer, and you're selling all the parts to me that I'm anticipating using, but I don't know what the fail rate is.
Yeah.
So how many turns to hold? That's a huge problem, and it's a cash flow problem of how much money am I putting on my shelf that's going to sit there.
Right.
That I could need to be paying my techs now, where the labor rates are going up. Because in order to draw that demand for the technicians, we're paying more per tech.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is increasing our rates.
Yeah, and customers are feeling it.
Plus, to add to it, that 10% on the parts we're getting, when a manufacturer complains, well, your street rate is X, so we want a discount.
Yeah.
So, but our street rate isn't based just on our margin on labor. Our street rate's based on total margin, where we expect to use a part 30 to 40% of our calls, and we have a particular margin on those parts. So when they compare our street rates to our warranty rates, they're not taking into account that we make nothing on the parts in warranty. So not only are we taking a discount on our street rate, but we're also losing that additional margin, which is the bigger pain factor for us. So it's really how I've been trying to open up the eyes. And honestly, I have been scared to walk away from manufacturers, and I think that's what's starting to change things, is that a lot of us, years ago, nobody wanted to lose a factory. Now I'm just like, this is what I need. Okay.
Yeah.
If we're seeing eye to eye, great. If we're not,
well, then it's
thank you.
not working out.
We'll be moving on.
Right. Yeah, and I don't disagree with you. I think going back to the word partnership, it's got to be a true partnership. It's got to work for you. It's got to work for us. It's got to work for the manufacturer. And if it's not, then maybe it is time to just walk away from the table, because, again, service companies, I just recently said, I think we're the most important piece of the puzzle. You can be out there selling equipment all day. Sales is necessary. But at the end of the day, when shit hits the fan and it rolls downhill, we're the guys that are going to be there. And they're becoming more and more scarce. And manufacturers and dealers and reps and everybody needs to see that if you're selling, it's not a matter of if it's going to happen. It's a matter of when it's going to happen. Something's going to happen over the course of the life of that equipment. We're the guys and girls that are going to be there handling it, and it's an interesting time.
I think Gary Potvin said it best. He was talking about, he was at a conference. I don't know if it was a FIDA or MOFSI or one of the industry associations, and he had done a speech or a presentation, and one of the dealers or salespeople for the dealers came up to him and was talking to him and was like, well, you guys are just this and that, and we're driving the industry. And he looked at her and was like, you heard me speak for about an hour. Do you think I could sell something? She's like, yeah, I think you'd be apt. Why, are you looking for a job? And he's like, no. But if an oven breaks, can you fix it? She's like, well, no. He's like, who's the more important piece of the puzzle?
Exactly.
And
there you go. That's great way to put it.
And I hate to say it, because I like having a relationship with the salesman, but a lot of times we're the skill involved in the industry. The salesmen are essentially replaceable.
Absolutely.
You can fit that slot in with almost anybody, and I'm not trying to be rude about it, but the people that are fixing the equipment, we're not replaceable. Like, we can't be outsourced.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you saw one of the young guys just come in, Jamal, 19 years old. We got him from high school. He's training right now. These guys are going to be invaluable. Like you said, I mean, and I'm not discounting. There's great salesmen and saleswomen out there that are very good at their job. This is something that has expertise and training involved. I mean, you're dealing with gas and steam and electric and things that could essentially hurt people if you don't know what you're doing. So you have to have trained and certified people working on this stuff. I think we are the most important piece of the puzzle. I really do. I'm just going to switch gears quickly, because when I was just at NAFM, and I ended up having a chat with a rep and a dealer at one of the booths, and it was about an installation. And it was an installation on a double stack steamer that we did not do. And then we get called in, and it was actually in two different locations, two the same problems going on. An unauthorized service company came in, hired by the dealer to do this, and they screwed the whole thing up. So now we're coming in on the back end of this, and it's almost like all eyes are on me that are angry at me. They weren't happy with the diagnosis, letting them know, hey, this was done wrong, this was piped wrong, this was done. And they're looking at me like they're mad at me for telling them, shame on you for having an outside service company, whoever they were, put this together, and now our technicians have to be magicians and make this all right. What are you seeing on the installation end in Pennsylvania and in your markets?
When that happens, it creates almost a worst case scenario for us as an ASA. It does. Because the servicer goes in for warranty. As I said, the main job for warranty is to maintain that relationship, to get the out of warranty work from that customer, to maintain the customer relationship. When you go in that situation and it ends up not being a warranty situation and it's an installation situation, well, now we have to bill the customer for that. they get mad because they think warranty means it covers any cost on that unit for the first year or the second year or whatever the warranty period may be on the unit.
Yeah.
And you bill them because that's what you have to do.
Absolutely. We're in business.
They call the dealer calls the rep calls the manufacturer, and they argue over who's going to pay this bill. And as a servicer, we're out our labor, we're out our time already.
Yeah.
The manufacturer got paid when they sold the equipment to the dealer. The rep got paid when that equipment got sold to the dealer. The dealer got paid when they sold the equipment to the customer. They're all sitting there with,
and here we are.
They're sitting there with the money in their pocket, arguing over
holding the bill.
Who's going to pay our bill? Then, what makes that even compounded is the bill gets paid by one of them.
Yeah.
The customer looks at us and says, "Well, why couldn't you get that done for me?" Because we don't have any leverage to go back to the manufacturers. This is one of my other big things I've been pitching to manufacturers for a while. Let the servicer be the hero in that situation. If we do, this has been my pitch to multiple manufacturers. Mm-hmm. You're going to pay that out of a sales concession account anyway. Give your ASA that concession account. So if I do 1,000 hours of labor for you a year, give me $5,000 of a concession account. You don't have to give me the money. Just hold it. So when I submit something to you, I can say, I know this isn't warranty, but I want to make this customer happy. To avoid all of this situation, please use my concession account to pay me this bill.
Yeah.
Then I can go back to the customer and be like, Mr. Customer, this was not a warranty issue. It was caused by an installation or caused by this or that or maintenance or whatever caused it, that it was not a warranty situation. But because of my relationship with that manufacturer, I was able to get it covered for you. Just know going forward that if this situation arises again, it will not be covered under warranty. That allows the servicer to be the hero. It doesn't make the customer angry. You don't wait for months as a dealer, rep, and manufacturer go back and forth over who's paying the bill. And it makes everybody happy. And
there's no bad taste in anybody's mouth.
No.
And that's what it is.
As soon as that situation you described happens, you're not getting that customer back because they're mad at you because
it
should be covered by warranty.
Right.
So as soon as it comes out of warranty and they can use somebody else, they're going to.
Yeah, because for some reason, I don't know. At the end, they look at, if it's me, it's Malachi, if it's you, K&D, like, these guys screwed me. When essentially we saved the day. We got you back up and running properly, but they don't see it that way. And that's kind of where this obviously we're dealing with the same shit no matter where we are. So equipment maintenance issues as well. We have improper installs we just talked about. If we're talking to the end user customer right now, what are we telling them? You know, they just got a new piece of equipment. It's under warranty. What are we telling them to stop this stuff from happening? They have a big voice.
When I go and I'm dealing with customers in warranty, and one thing we do is I have my system, I can do a coming out of warranty report. So I can print it off and I can show every piece of equipment that we worked on for any customer that's coming out of warranty in the next 3 months. Then my sales manager tries to contact these customers, or the branch manager of the customer will try to contact the customers. We try to set up a pre-coming out of warranty PM.
Okay, I like
Meaning, hey, this piece of equipment's coming out. We're going to come out and we're going to check it. We want to charge you, depending on how far it is, it's a different rate, but we charge them a nominal fee for coming out. Now, if we find something that's a warranty issue, we'll fix it and we'll bill the manufacturer for the warranty.
Absolutely, that's great.
If we don't find anything, we charge you the nominal fee as a PM, and then we try to use that as a relationship builder to say, hey, we're trying to take care of you, so when it comes out of warranty, you need us less and less, but we want to make the relationship stronger.
That's great. Yeah, I love that. So,
and the other issue is a lot of I don't want to blame the sales side, but you buy a car, you need an oil change every 5,000 miles.
Yes.
You buy a combi oven, and when the salesman or the rep tries to tell you you're going to need a PM program for this, none of the customers want to hear it because it's extra expensive. None of the salesmen really want to bring it up because that's extra expense for the ownership of the vehicle, or not the vehicle, the ownership of the equipment. But on a car, you're spending $30,000 on a combi unit. You're spending $30,000 on a car.
Exactly.
Nobody quibbles about, I have to bring it in and get an oil change every 5,000 miles. We need to educate the customer on that side too, that pretty much any piece of equipment that has water running through it, on it, or in it is going to need PM.
It's at risk.
If it's a plug-and-play griddle, you probably can get away without PMing it.
Right.
I mean, you might want to check a knob here. You can place knobs in this. Yeah, anything that has water is going to need a PM at least twice a year.
I always say the same thing. Anything with water. I mean, you got to make sure the customers know about filters. I mean, there's a lot of naivete out there with these filters and everything. I mean, we got to change the filters. We got to change the air filters, the water filters. Gaskets. Gaskets are ripping and tearing. I mean, essentially, that's going to make the unit work harder. You have steam escaping and different things. I mean, whatever it might be. I mean, this is all stuff that has to be done.
Yeah, and it helps the equipment, and it's much better and cheaper for me to be able to schedule to come in and maintain that equipment at times where it's less intrusive than it is for it to go down. Now I have to come in whenever I have to come in because you need it up and running, and that bill is going to be more. The maintenance cost is going to be less and keep the repair costs less.
Oh, yeah. Over time, you'll see. I mean, we have reports, too. Over time, you'll see the repairs will go down, everything will go down. And, you'll get that extension on the life from maybe 5 years to 7, 8, 9, 10 in some cases.
I mean, I think there's a vocabulary issue, too. It's weird because this is marketing. The way we talk about things. Yeah. We were discussing at one of our One Voice meetings with the NSC, with the manufacturers. So they have a grill certification program, and they have it's going to say who it is, but they have a BIC unit PM program.
Sure.
Now, the end user, they're all about that grill certification. I need to get my grill certified. I have to make sure it's certified.
Yes.
But when you throw that PM program at them, why do I have to do that? This is just additional maintenance. And they're both the same thing. They're both a PM program. But because one's called a certification and one's called a PM program, the manufacturer even admitted, they treat them differently.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a simple vocabulary issue of how do we train the customer better?
Yeah, I mean, wordplay. I mean, it does matter. I mean, years ago, I used to say, I don't know if you used to say, I don't say preventive anymore. I always say planned. Because, I feel like preventive means like you're not going to get a breakdown. We're preventing it. Now it's just planned maintenance. I mean, wordplay does matter when you're talking to customers on these things.
I mean, and even on wordplay, on the new buzzword right now is first time fix rate. I need a first time fix. Well, what does that actually mean? I can come out same day and fix it, or I can wait 5 days, get all the parts in, come out and fix it. Still first time fix. But this is a new industry buzzword that all the chains are looking at, all the manufacturers are looking at. And to me, I think it's a wrong word to be using. I think what we need to look at is total downtime. Total downtime should be the KPI used in our industry, not first time fix. If I go out 4 times to fix your unit, but I get it up and running in 32 hours from the time the call was placed till the time the unit's up and running versus, I only made 1 trip, but your total downtime was still 48 hours. Which would you rather have? So first time fix is a relative term that has no meaning behind it.
Yeah.
And it's not really defined. Total downtime is what we should be looking at. So customer makes an initial call.
Yep.
Till the unit is up and running. And that's the important.
They call on the first, it's finished and completed by the second at the end of the day.
Yeah. So that is the key statistic of total downtime, because that's what the customer is trying to avoid.